Some people saw this as devotion, while others saw it as controlling or going too far. Redford became more important as his fame grew. He was known for being very picky about the jobs he took on and the people he worked with. He said no to a lot of big movies because he didn't like the story or trust the people who were making them. He wanted to work on projects that were more than just good for the box office. In Hollywood, where many stars were more interested in fame and money, this made him stand out. Stand out. But Redford's need to be perfect sometimes caused problems. Some directors tried to rush him or change his mind, which made him angry. He didn't like being told what to do, especially by people who didn't love stories as much as he did. Because he wasn't afraid to say what he thought, some leaders found him hard to work with. Some of his co-stars found it stressful to work with him because they liked a more relaxed and collaborative environment. Redford liked order and structure on set, which wasn't always the case with other stars. Even with all of these problems, Redford was still one of the most recognized people in the business. Even when other people tried to steer him in a different way, his quiet confidence and sharp instincts helped him stay in charge of his career. He also began directing, which let him be even more imaginative. Ordinary People, his first movie as a director, won him the Academy Award for Best Director. This showed that his strong will and attention to detail weren't just features. These people helped him do well. Part of what made Redford so interesting was how he could be charming in public while keeping things under control in private. He never had the biggest voice, but most of the time he spoke first. Many of the people who worked with him said they admired him, even if they didn't always agree with him. He wasn't interested in the drama or rumors in Hollywood. He had his own ideas about how to make good movies. For Redford to become famous, it took more than just ability. It took hard work, a clear vision, and the quiet strength that comes from knowing what you want and going after it. He carefully built his business by staying out of trouble and protecting his privacy while doing the work that was important to him. But not everyone liked his way, and it was hard for some of Hollywood's biggest stars to work with him. Love and Trouble, Robert Redford has always been thought of as a quiet and serious person. An awful lot of people thought he was a Hollywood star because he was good-looking, smart, and successful, but his private life was more complicated. He has been married twice, and each time showed a different side of him. He was married to his first wife for almost 30 years, but they grew apart, and it was hard on him emotionally. After a long time, his second marriage seemed more stable and peaceful. These two marriages help us understand Redford better, not just as an actor, but also as a person who had a hard time balancing love, fame, and his need to be alone. He married Lola Van Wagenen for the first time in 1958. She was a young star who was having a hard time at the time. He was still trying to figure out his place in the world. Lola was a Mormon from Utah who loved her family and was very stable. Her dreams were big and she believed in him. She was there for him as he worked hard to build his business. The first few years of their marriage were full of hope and the kind of help that new artists need. They had 4 kids together, but one of them died when they was a baby, which hurt them both very much. At this point, Redford wasn't the well-known star he is now. He got small parts and worked on stage, and slowly became known in the entertainment business. Lola took care of a lot of things around the house, like raising the kids and giving Redford time to work. Together, they looked like a good plan. She was the base on which he was building something big. As Redford's fame grew in the late 1960s and early 1970s, things started to change. In 1969, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid made him a big star. This changed everything in his life. He was pulled in a lot of different ways all at once. There are movie sets, press coverage, social parties, and new chances. Lola stayed out of the public eye, but Redford's face became one of the most recognized in the world. The stress of fame put some distance between them. Redford paid more attention to his work. He was known for giving everything he had to every job. His whole self was put into everything he did, whether it was starring, directing, or producing. Focusing this hard meant spending a lot of time away from home and working long hours. After being there for him emotionally for a while, Lola became less important in his busy life. It got harder for them to get along, even though they were married for years. There were also reports that Redford was cheating on his wife. Some close to him said that the fame, constant travel, and temptations of Hollywood made it hard for him to stay fully committed, but he rarely talked about these claims in public. At the same time, Redford shut down mentally more. He was already a private person, but these years made him even more so. Even with people close to him, he didn't like talking about personal things. It was said that Lola felt this distance, and it hurt their relationship in the end. After being married for 27 years, Redford and Lola split up in 1985. There was no public drama during the split. It was calm and polite. Redford continued to keep his privacy safe, and Lola went back to her own study into history and the environment. Even though they had been married for a long time and had a child together, they both needed different things. After many years, Redford found love again, but this time it was very different. In the middle of the 1990s, he met Cibil, an artist from Germany who shared his love of outdoors and art. The start of their relationship was quiet and slow. The last few years of Redford's life were very busy, but this time he took things at his own pace. Before they got married in 2018, they lived together for more than 20 years. Redford seemed to be very happy that Cibil wasn't in the Hollywood world. She was calm, creative, and worked as a painter for a living. They respected each other, shared beliefs, and took things more slowly in their relationship. Redford had moved away from the public eye by this point in his life. He was more selective about the projects he worked on, spending more time at his ranch in Utah, and focused on environmental issues. Redford always wanted to be alone, and Cibil helped him build a peaceful pattern that gave him that. A lot of people noticed that Redford seemed more at ease with this new partner. There was less stress and interest from the public, and feelings were more balanced. But his first marriage was full of the drive and energy of a man building his career. His second marriage, on the other hand, showed that he had already reached his goals and was looking for peace. That was done by Cibil, and their bond has stayed strong and stable. Later on, things got better in his personal life, but not all of his work relationships were so good. Some of his worst fights were with Hollywood's biggest stars, John Redford versus Paul Newman. One of Hollywood's most famous on-screen pairs is Robert Redford and Paul Newman. Soulstowed at Redford and Paul Newman. In Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, they got along great naturally. They were charming and full of energy. People really enjoyed seeing them work together. Newman, who is calm and sure of himself, next to Redford, who is more serious and quiet. They were two very different kinds of artists, but they worked really well together. It looked like they were always friends on screen, and the movie's success made them one of the most famous pairs in movie history. After some time, they worked together again on The Sting, which was also a huge hit. It won several Academy Awards and showed that Redford and Newman were truly unique. Everyone thought they were close in real life, and for a while they were. They had a lot of respect for each other and liked working together in the beginning. They even pulled jokes on each other while shooting and laughed about how they were acting in different ways. Things seemed fine at first glance, but there were early signs of stress going on behind the scenes. Redford became more protective of his image and more involved in the artistic side of making movies as his fame grew. He wanted to do more than just act. He wanted to have a say in how things were dealt with. Not so for Newman. By the 1960s, he was already a big star and used to playing lead parts and getting top billing. People didn't agree on whose name should go first in the credits when Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid came out. Newman got the most praise, but many people thought Redford's acting made the movie better and that he should get just as much credit. At that time, they started to compete with each other. As the 1970s began, Redford's interest in directing and being in charge of the artistic process only grew. He wasn't just interested in playing parts. He didn't just want to play a part in the story. He wanted to shape it. But Newman had always been the most important part of his work. He was sure of himself, had a lot of knowledge, and was used to being in charge. So, it's a lot of knowledge. And they were slowly growing apart because of the different ways they saw their jobs in Hollywood. Redford and Newman worked together less and less, but there was no public fight. Fans hoped they would work together again on another movie, but they didn't. Behind closed doors, they took their friendship to a more serious level. In interviews, they still said nice things about each other, and they both admired each other. They didn't spend as much time together as they did when they were younger. Redford once said that they became less close as their work and personal lives took them in different ways. After Newman died in 2008, Redford paid tribute to him by calling him a great friend and a great actor. It was clear that their respect for each other never went away, but the closeness they used to have slowly changed into a more distant, respectful relationship. Together, they made two movies that everyone will remember.